What if the life you're living, I mean, really living, is less about what's happening out there and more about the world inside your own head?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
Yeah. Like those habits you just can't seem to shake. Or beliefs that feel totally rock solid.
Uh-huh. The way things just seem to happen to you.
Exactly. Could there be something else going on, like a hidden architect behind it all?
Well, that's what we're diving deep into today.
We're exploring the power of your subconscious mind, that sort of silent partner that seems to be shaping your beliefs, your habits, maybe even the reality you experience day to day.
And we'll look at things like visualization, auto-suggestion, powerful tools, potentially.
And that mind-body connection, too, especially when it comes to healing, it's really quite something.
Yeah, and this isn't just abstract theory. We're drawing heavily from Joseph Murphy's classic work, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
Right. The aim is to give you some valuable insights, maybe even some techniques you can actually use.
To understand and maybe even, harness this incredible inner resource we all seem to possess.
Okay, so where do we start? Murphy talks about these two levels of mind.
He does. He makes a clear distinction. You've got the conscious mind, that's the part doing the reasoning, making choices, interacting with the world through your senses.
Like us talking right now, taking in this information.
Precisely. It's the awake, aware part, the captain of the ship, as Murphy sometimes puts it.
Okay, the captain. So what's the subconscious then?
That's the engine room. It's running all the automatic stuff, breathing, digestion, heartbeat, things you don't consciously think about.
Right. It just handles it.
But crucially, Murphy says it's also this huge reservoir for our emotions, our memories. And here's the kicker. It generally accepts as true whatever the conscious mind believes and impresses upon it.
Wow. So it doesn't really filter based on logic.
Not in the same way the conscious mind does. It's more like fertile ground. Whatever seeds the conscious mind plants positive or negative thoughts, beliefs the subconscious tends to nurture them.
That makes sense. He also uses these terms, objective and subjective mind.
Yeah, basically, objective mind is the conscious mind, dealing with the outer world, the tangible stuff through our senses.
Okay.
The subjective mind is the subconscious. He suggests it becomes more active, more influential when our objective senses are less dominant.
Like when we're relaxed or drifting off to sleep.
Exactly. And he hints that in those states, it might even tap into deeper levels of awareness, maybe intuition or something like that.
So if our conscious thoughts are like instructions for this powerful subconscious engine, how do we actually, take control, give it better directions? Murphy talks a lot about suggestion.
Yes, suggestion is key. It's basically the act of putting an idea into someone's mind or your own mind.
Okay.
And that idea can be entertained, maybe accepted, maybe rejected. Your conscious mind acts like a gatekeeper.
Ah, so we can reject suggestion.
Absolutely. Murphy gives this great example of a sailor. He believed so strongly he couldn't get seasick that the suggestion he might get seasick just bounced off him. His conviction protected him.
So our existing beliefs act as a filter.
They really do. Which brings us to auto-suggestion, suggesting things to ourselves. How can we use that effectively?
Yeah, how do we use that self-talk for good?
Well, think about negative self-talk first. Murphy tells a story about a young singer, terribly gifted, but crippled by stage fright.
Oh, I can relate to that fear.
Right. Her conscious mind wanted to perform, but her subconscious was filled with fear. They'll judge me, I'll fail. That negativity was sabotaging her.
So what did she do?
She started consciously, repeatedly, using positive auto-suggestions, affirming her confidence, visualizing success, feeling it. She actively counteracted the negative stuff.
So she was reprogramming.
Essentially, yes.
Oh.
Replacing the fear-based programming with confidence-based programming. It shows we aren't just victims of our inner critic. We can talk back.
That's empowering. But what about suggestions from other people? He calls it heterosuggestion, right? Especially stuff from childhood.
That's a really crucial point. Negative things said to us, especially repeatedly or by people we trusted when we were young, can lodge deep in the subconscious.
And become limiting beliefs we don't even realize we have.
Exactly. But Mercy's message is still one of empowerment. We're not stuck with those old suggestions forever.
We can overwrite them.
Through deliberate, constructive autosuggestion. We can choose what narrative takes root now. It takes conscious effort, but it's possible.
He shares that really intense story about the man and the fortune teller, too. That feels like a strong warning about negative suggestion.
It is. It's quite a stark illustration. This healthy man believes a fortune teller's prediction that he'll die soon.
And he fully bought into it.
Completely. He obsessed over it, lived in fear, prepared for death, and then tragically, he died exactly when predicted.
Wow.
Murphy's point wasn't that the fortune teller had magic powers. It was the man's own belief. His fearful expectation essentially instructed his subconscious to make it happen.
So the subconscious just executes the strongest belief, regardless of whether it's good for us.
It seems to operate that way. It takes the blueprints we give it through our dominant thoughts and beliefs and builds accordingly. It doesn't really argue.
Okay, that really drives home the importance of our thoughts. Now, shifting gears a bit, Murphy connects this powerfully to health and healing. He talks about scientific prayer. What did he mean by that?
Right. Scientific prayer for Murphy wasn't necessarily about traditional religious practice, though it could include it. It was more about the harmonious interaction of the conscious and subconscious minds directed towards a specific purpose, like healing.
Harmonious interaction.
Getting them aligned, consciously choosing the idea of health and wholeness, and impressing that deeply onto the subconscious. The underlying principle, he says, is the law of belief.
The law of belief. So it's the belief itself that does the work.
That seems to be his core idea. It's the unwavering conviction within your own mind that activates the subconscious response, which can then influence the body.
So things like faith healing or those seemingly miraculous recoveries people sometimes experience.
Murphy would suggest that's the power of belief, often what he calls blind faith, acting powerfully on the subconscious. It bypasses the conscious mind's doubts.
Does he differentiate that from playing for someone else? Absent treatment, he called it.
Yes, he does. He shares a story about a daughter praying intensely for her mother, who lived far away and had a serious heart condition, a coronary thrombosis.
And the mother got better.
Remarkably so, yes. Murphy's interpretation was that the daughter's focused belief and mental picture of her mother's wholeness somehow connected with and activated the healing intelligence within the mother's own subconscious.
That implies a sort of interconnectedness.
It really does. He also gives more modern examples, like the minister diagnosed with lung cancer.
Right, what happened there?
Well, facing this grim diagnosis, the minister consciously decided to practice deep relaxation and repeat affirmations. Things like, the perfection of God is now being expressed through me, focusing on perfect health.
And it worked.
He experienced a remarkable healing, yes. Which for Murphy illustrates how consciously chosen thoughts persistently held can potentially influence even serious physical conditions.
It's incredible. He even mentions hypnosis, how suggestion under hypnosis can create real physical symptoms.
Exactly. He references researchers like Bernheim who showed you could, through suggestion in hypnosis, induce things like a fever or blisters.
Blisters, just from suggestion.
Apparently so. Even more extreme examples like stigmata bleeding wounds reportedly induced through suggestion. It powerfully demonstrates the subconscious mind's control over bodily functions.
That mind-body link is just so much stronger than we usually think.
Absolutely. Murphy's conclusion is that disease often originates in the mind, in faulty thought patterns, and that the real healing power isn't external, it's the subconscious mind itself, activated by faith.
He had that story about the father healed by a ring and cross he thought were special, right?
Yes. A beautiful example. The father believed these ordinary objects had healing power. His intense imagination and confident expectation were the real triggers. The objects were just focus points for his beliefs.
So imagination plus belief.
A powerful combination for influencing the subconscious, according to Murphy.
Okay, so if the subconscious is this powerful and can affect our health, our lives, how do we actually reprogram it? How do we make positive changes intentionally? Murphy offers several techniques. What about the mental movie method?
Right, the mental movie method. The idea is to create a really vivid mental picture of the outcome you want. See it, feel it, experience it in your imagination.
Like watching a movie in your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He uses the example of selling a house. You'd picture yourself getting the check, shaking hands, feeling the relief and joy as if it's already happened.
And you do this repeatedly.
Yes, especially just before sleep. That's when the conscious mind is quieter and the subconscious is thought to be more receptive. You're essentially impressing the reality of your desire onto it.
Makes sense. Imprinting the desired end result. What about the Bedouin technique? Sounds specific.
It is. It involves using a very short, simple phrase or affirmation that sums up your desire. Something easy to remember like, it is finished in divine order. And the key is to repeat this phrase, kind of like a lullaby, as you're drifting off to sleep, gently embedding it into the subconscious without a lot of conscious effort or resistance. He tells of a woman resolving a legal issue this way.
Interesting. So conciseness and repetition in that sleepy state. He also talks a lot about gratitude.
Oh, massively. He shares a great story about a man called Mr. Broke, facing serious money problems.
Aptly named.
Right. He started deliberately repeating, "Thank you, Father, for my wealth," over and over in a relaxed state until he genuinely started to feel thankful despite his circumstances.
He felt grateful before the wealth appeared.
Yes. And shortly after cultivating that feeling, a great job offer came through. The idea is that focusing on gratitude shifts your inner state towards abundance, attracting more of it.
It feels like a common theme is acting as if the desired thing is already true, especially in that relaxed state. He also has the affirmative method.
Yes, similar principle. You affirm your desire as already real right now, regardless of what your senses are telling you.
Even if the evidence contradicts it.
Especially then. He gives the example of his sister with gallstones. He kept affirming her perfect health, peace, balance, wholeness, seeing her healed in his mind despite the medical reports. And she did experience a healing.
So it's about persistent, confident affirmation. What about those other methods, like Quimby's argumentative method or the decree method?
Quimby's approach was more about logical reasoning, convincing yourself and the person you're helping that sickness is just based on false beliefs in the subconscious. You sort of argue the sickness out of existence mentally.
Okay, a more analytical approach.
And the decree method is more about making a powerful, authoritative statement of your desire, filled with feeling and faith. Declaring it so, believing your words have creative power through the subconscious. He mentions a girl using a decree to ward off an unwanted suitor.
Different techniques, but all aimed at influencing that subconscious level. And imagination seems key throughout.
Absolutely. Murphy stresses imagination as a vital tool to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. If your desire and imagination are in conflict, he says, imagination usually wins.
Like the woman with the lawsuit you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. Her imagination kept playing out worst-case scenarios. She had to consciously direct her imagination, use that mental movie method to picture the positive resolution she wanted until that became the dominant image for her subconscious.
Right. So this isn't just about health. Murphy applies these ideas to wealth and success too. What's the connection there?
A big one, according to him. He suggests financial difficulties often come from not truly convincing the subconscious that abundance is possible or even deserved.
So a subconscious belief in lack.
Often, yes. That's why he emphasizes feeling wealthy. Not just saying affirmations, but cultivating the inner feeling, the conviction of abundance.
But he warns about canceling out affirmations, doesn't he?
He does. It's like planting a seed. You affirm, "I am wealthy," but then 5 minutes later you're thinking, "Oh, but I can't afford that bill." That fear thought can neutralize the affirmation. You have to be consistent.
Like digging up the seed to see if it's growing.
Exactly that analogy. He tells of a young man who dreamed of being a doctor. He just constantly, vividly imagined himself as a doctor, living that life, until it became his dominant subconscious conviction. And that inner reality eventually guided him to make it happen externally.
So the inner picture comes first. What about our attitude towards work?
Huge impact. Resentment towards your job, your boss, your colleagues. That negativity held subconsciously can actually attract negative outcomes like getting fired. It's that law of action and reaction again.
What we put out mentally comes back.
That's the idea. Conversely, he says, genuinely rejoicing in other people's success, instead of feeling envious, opens the door for your own success. Envy blocks abundance.
And ultimately, true wealth isn't just money.
It's the ideas, the creativity, the resourcefulness within your own mind. That's the real source.
Okay, and relationships. How does the subconscious play out in our connections with others?
Profoundly. Our silent inner conversations, our assumptions and judgments about people, those thoughts create feelings that absolutely affect the dynamic.
Even if we don't say them out loud.
Especially then, perhaps. He gives an example of a salesman struggling with his boss. By consciously practicing prayer and visualizing harmony and goodwill towards the boss, the actual relationship improved dramatically.
So changing the inner attitude changed the outer reality.
That's the principle. He also talks about emotional maturity, learning to choose our reactions instead of being triggered automatically by old subconscious patterns.
Taking responsibility for our emotional responses.
Yes. And he suggests the practice of empathy. Mentally putting yourself in the other person's shoes, trying to understand their perspective, cultivating feelings of compassion.
That sounds like a recipe for better relationships all around. He mentions a secretary who disliked women.
Yes, she had deep-seated resentment. By consciously affirming love and peace towards women, visualizing harmonious interactions, she gradually transformed her inner state, and her external relationships with female colleagues improved significantly.
It comes back to managing that inner world. What about finding a partner?
Same principle. Focus on the qualities you desire in a partner. Embody those qualities yourself and hold that positive expectation. He tells of a woman who broke a pattern of attracting unsuitable partners by doing just that, affirming the qualities of the ideal partner she sought.
And marriage problems. He suggests divorce often starts mentally.
Yes, with negative thoughts, resentment, suspicion, criticism held internally. He advocates for prayer therapy, consciously focusing on love, peace, forgiveness, and harmony within the marriage as a powerful way to heal rifts.
It really seems like this inner work impacts every area. What about just happiness?
Absolutely. Murphy is clear. Happiness is fundamentally a choice, an inner state we cultivate. It's not just about external circumstances.
He quotes the Bible, right? Philippians.
He does. Philippians 4.8, focus your thoughts on whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. Consciously choose where you place your mental attention.
He gives a morning affirmation for happiness.
A simple but powerful one. Divine order takes charge of my life today and every day. All things work together for good for me today. This is a new and wonderful day for me. I will be happy. Something like that, setting the intention.
And the story of the Irish farmer.
Oh, a lovely one. This farmer wasn't wealthy or famous, but he was deeply happy because he made it a habit. Every morning, blessing his family, his farm, feeling grateful. Happiness was his chosen mental pattern.
So we have to actually want to be happy, sincerely desire it.
That's essential, he says. And finding inner quiet helps. Quieting the mental chatter, the negativity. He mentions a manager resolving team issues by focusing on the positive qualities of his colleagues in his own mind.
Okay, one more big area, fear. Murphy calls it man's greatest enemy.
He really does. He sees fear just a negative thought held in the mind as the root cause behind so much failure, sickness, and relationship breakdown.
Like the boy afraid of the boogeyman under the bed.
Exactly. The fear feels real, but it's based on an unreal thought. Most fears are like that.
What about things like stage fright, which we mentioned?
He suggests overcoming it by replacing the fear thought with its opposite. Visualize success, affirm confidence, feel the positive outcome instead of the fearful one, do the thing you fear.
And exam fear, that suggestive amnesia where your mind goes blank.
He links that to the fear of failure. The way to counter it is to relax and focus intensely on success before the exam. He tells of a student visualizing his mother congratulating him on passing, holding that feeling.
So it's about changing the mental focus away from the fear, even specific phobias like water or heights.
He suggests the same approach. A changed mental attitude. Maybe visualizing yourself swimming joyfully or standing confidently on a height, feeling calm and secure, repeatedly impressing that new image on the subconscious.
It sounds simple, but maybe not easy.
It takes persistence. He warns against abnormal fear, where we let negative imagination run wild, picturing all sorts of disasters. The key is always to shift focus to the desired opposite.
So practical steps. Do the thing you fear. Replace fear thoughts with positive ones. Build faith in a good outcome.
That's the essence of it, yes.
Finally, what about aging? That's a fear for many people. How does the subconscious fit in?
Murphy encourages accepting aging gracefully, seeing its own beauty and wisdom. He stresses that things like character, mental ability, faith, these don't automatically decay with age.
Challenging that negative societal narrative about getting older.
Exactly. He pushes back against age discrimination, highlighting the value of experience. He urges people to see themselves as producers, not prisoners of society, regardless of age.
Keep having a vision for yourself.
Yes. See yourself as happy, radiant, successful, usable. Reject the idea that decline is inevitable. He points to examples like Hoover, Socrates, Michelangelo, people productive deep into later life.
So reframe old age
as a time for contemplating deeper truths, maybe from a higher perspective, offering different, perhaps even greater joys than youth.
Wow. So pulling it all together, the subconscious mind is this incredibly powerful force within us.
Constantly shaping our reality based on our dominant thoughts, beliefs, and feelings.
But the amazing thing is we can learn to direct it using techniques like visualization, autosuggestion, affirmations.
We can essentially reprogram it for positive changes in our health, finances, relationships, happiness, how we experience aging, everything.
The power really is within each of us, isn't it?
It truly is. You have this capacity to consciously impress your subconscious mind, to guide it towards the life you genuinely desire. That inner wisdom can lead you.
So as you're listening, maybe take a moment, think about one area of your life you'd really love to transform.
Yeah, just pick one thing for now.
And consider, what if you started consciously using one of these techniques, really vividly visualizing the outcome you want, or consistently using a positive affirmation?
Impressing that new reality onto your subconscious day by day.
Joseph Murphy called the power within your own subconscious mind the master secret of the ages. Maybe it's time to start exploring that secret within yourself.
Definitely delve deeper into these ideas. See what happens when you start consciously directing this incredible power you possess.